Let's be real. The world isn't exactly built for people who think deeply and refuse to fake it just to fit in. That's why a lot of Sigma males walk through life with very few close friends, and in some cases, none at all. Not because they don't want connection, but because this world rewards fake smiles, surface-level loyalty, and people who play along. Sigma males don't. They're not rude or cold, as many people assume. They just refuse to pretend. They're tired of the nonsense that comes with trying to force friendships that never feel real. If you've ever felt like the more honest you are, the more people pull away, or the more loyal you stay, the more you're taken for granted. This will hit way too close to home. Here are 7 reasons Sigma males end up with almost no one around them, and why it might actually be smarter that way. Number 1. They used to idealize people, but they got disappointed every time. Remember when you thought everyone was basically good deep down, that people meant what they said, and that treating someone well would naturally make them treat you the same way back? You probably gave people the benefit of the doubt constantly and genuinely believed most human beings were trustworthy if you just gave them a chance. Sigma males went through this phase too, but reality hit them hard. The friend who borrowed money and promised to pay it back next week avoided them for months. The person who said they valued honesty got offended the moment they received real feedback. People who claimed to care about loyalty threw them under the bus the second it became convenient. Maya Angelou once said, "When people show you who they are, believe them the first time." Sigma males wish they had understood this earlier because they used to make excuses for bad behavior and give second, third, and fourth chances to people who never deserved the first one. The psychological impact hits these men harder because they do not form expectations lightly. When they decide someone is worth trusting, they invest completely, which makes the inevitable letdown hurt much more than it would for someone who keeps expectations low from the beginning. Each betrayal does not just hurt in the moment, it changes how they view human nature entirely. Eventually, they stop setting themselves up for disappointment by stopping the idealization process entirely, which naturally leads to having fewer people in their life who can hurt them. Number 2. They build walls for a reason. Everyone loves giving advice about putting yourself out there, being vulnerable, and opening up to new people, because that is supposedly how you build meaningful relationships. But what happens when every time you lower your guard, someone takes advantage of your openness or uses your honesty against you? Those emotional walls that people love to criticize represent lessons from people who took their kindness for weakness, shared their private information with others, or disappeared the moment they needed support instead of providing it. The walls are not keeping everyone out, they are keeping the wrong people out. The really frustrating part is how society treats these protective boundaries like character flaws that need fixing. People assume someone with walls must be damaged or afraid of intimacy, when really they just got smart about protecting their energy from people who prove they cannot be trusted with it. As Warren Buffett always said, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Sigma males understand this applies to trust too. Once someone proves they cannot handle your vulnerability responsibly, those walls go back up, and they stay up. Brain research shows that people with strong boundaries actually form deeper, more authentic relationships than those who are open to everyone. The difference is that Sigma males screen people carefully, and most people fail not because the standards are unreasonable, but because most people are not actually capable of the reciprocal respect and loyalty that real friendship requires. Number 3. They intimidate without meaning to. You know what makes people really uncomfortable? Someone who refuses to pretend everything is fine when it clearly is not, who calls out obvious lies instead of politely ignoring them, and who responds to, "How are you?" with actual honesty instead of the automatic, "I'm good," that everyone expects to hear. Sigma males intimidate people simply by being real in a world where most interactions run on scripts, fake politeness, and carefully managed impressions. When someone asks for their opinion, They give their actual thoughts instead of saying what they think the person wants to hear. When they notice someone is being fake or manipulative, their facial expression changes in ways that make it obvious they see right through the performance. Most people are not prepared for this level of authenticity because they have gotten comfortable with surface-level interactions where everyone plays along with social lies and nobody rocks the boat by pointing out uncomfortable truths. When a Sigma responds to casual conversation with genuine depth or calls attention to things others are pretending not to notice, it creates tension that many people would rather avoid. In the words of Oscar Wilde, "I can resist everything except temptation." For Sigma males, the temptation is responding authentically instead of playing along with meaningless social games, and this level of realness makes people nervous because it forces them to either step up to genuine interaction or reveal how shallow their usual communication actually is. The intimidation is completely unintentional, but when your natural way of being requires others to bring their real selves to conversations, instead of just going through polite motions, you end up with fewer people willing to engage because most people prefer comfortable fakeness over uncomfortable honesty. Number 4. They're rare and rarely understood. When you are part of a small percentage of the population that thinks differently, finding people who actually get you becomes really hard. Most people work on totally different levels and want completely different things from friendship and hanging out. Sigma males often feel like they are speaking another language when they try to explain how they see things. Their need to be alone gets called antisocial. Being picky about friends gets called difficult or stuck up. Wanting real conversations instead of small talk gets seen as being too serious or weird. Being rare means they feel misunderstood even by people who supposedly care about them. Family keeps pushing them to be more social, friends try to drag them to parties they hate, and everyone acts like their natural way of being is broken and needs to be fixed. In the words of Steve Jobs, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes. Because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. Sigma males are round pegs trying to fit into a world made for square holes. When you are basically different from almost everyone around you, making real friendships becomes way harder because true connection needs understanding, and understanding needs finding someone who thinks enough like you to actually bridge the gap between different ways of seeing and experiencing life. The math is simple. When there are not many people like you out there, your chances of finding them get pretty slim. Number 5. Their expectations are extremely high. Most people lower their standards for friendship until they find someone willing to participate. They overlook red flags, make excuses for disappointing behavior, and accept mediocre treatment because having some social connection feels better than having none at all. This is why so many people end up in friendships that drain them or feel completely one-sided. Sigma males take the opposite approach. They have extremely high expectations for friendship because they understand that letting the wrong people into your life creates more problems than staying alone ever could. They would rather be selective and end up with nobody than be accepting and end up with people who waste their time or create unnecessary drama. Their standards are not arbitrary or unrealistic. They are based on what they themselves bring to relationships. They expect honesty, loyalty, consistency, and mutual respect because these are the things they offer without question. They expect people to mean what they say, follow through on commitments, and treat them with the same consideration they show in return. Maya Angelou once said, "Never make someone a priority when all you are to them is an option." That's why Sigma males refuse to invest in people who do not invest back equally. The problem is that most people cannot or will not meet these standards, not because the standards are unreasonable, but because most people have gotten comfortable with mediocre relationship skills and do not want to put in the effort that real friendship requires. Number 6. They don't want a lot of friends. Society has this weird obsession with the idea that having lots of friends equals being successful, popular, or emotionally healthy. People brag about their packed social calendars and huge contact lists as if quantity of relationships automatically means quality of life. But here is something that might surprise you about Sigma males. They genuinely do not want a large social circle, not because they are antisocial or damaged, but because they understand that managing multiple friendships requires enormous amounts of time, energy, and emotional investment that most people are not worth. Think about what real friendship actually requires if you take it seriously. You need to remember important details about their life, be available when they need support, invest time in maintaining the connection, and genuinely care about their well-being, even when it is inconvenient. Now multiply that by 20 people, and you see why having lots of friends means doing all of these things poorly. As Jim Rohn always said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. These men take this seriously and would rather have 1 or 2 people they can truly count on than a bunch of shallow acquaintances who provide nothing but entertainment and social obligation. Quality over quantity is not just a nice saying for them. It is a practical life strategy that acknowledges the reality that meaningful relationships require significant investment to maintain properly, and their time and energy are limited resources. Number 7. They dislike crowds and conflict. Think about getting invited to a party where you know the music will be way too loud, people will only talk about boring stuff, and someone will definitely start drama that you will be expected to pick sides in. For most people, this might sound annoying but doable. For Sigma males, this sounds like hell on earth that they will do anything to avoid. The thing about crowds is not social anxiety or being shy. It is that big groups always turn into the worst version of human behavior. People get louder, more fake, and start showing off when they are trying to get attention in a crowd. The real conversations that these men actually like become impossible when everyone is talking over each other and trying to be the most interesting person in the room. Avoiding conflict makes things even worse because today's social world runs on drama, gossip, and picking sides in other people's problems. Sigma males think this is exhausting and stupid, but if you refuse to get involved in group drama, you basically have to leave the group because people think you do not care or you are not a real friend. As Gandhi once said, you must be the change you wish to see in the world. Sigmas would rather make peaceful spaces for themselves than deal with other people's fake drama and social games all the time. The mix of hating crowds and avoiding conflict naturally cuts down their social options because most social stuff involves groups of people making noise and creating drama that Sigma males have absolutely no interest in being part of or even watching happen. If something in this video hit home, you're not alone. Subscribe for more content that speaks to the way you think, not the way the world expects you to. Drop a like if this connected with you, and feel free to share your perspective in the comments. Until next time, stay grounded and keep growing.